Age 32, the night everything changed, $214. That's what's sitting in your savings account the morning you turn 32. Not after bills, not after rent, after everything. $214 and a head full of excuses you've been carrying since your mid-20s, like luggage you forgot to unpack. It's a Tuesday. You're sitting at the kitchen table in your apartment, the one with the warped laminate countertop and the radiator that bangs all night. You've got your laptop open because you couldn't sleep, not because of the radiator, because of the number. You built this spreadsheet 6 months ago in a weekend of panic and then closed it because what it showed you was too uncomfortable to sit with. Tonight, you open it again. Your income, $68,400 a year. That sounds fine until you map it out. $5,700 a month before taxes becomes $3,940 after. Rent $1,550, car payment $387, insurance $210, student loan minimum $280, groceries $340. Subscriptions you forgot you had, $94. That leaves $1,079. But your credit card statement says you've been spending $1,340 in the column labeled Everything Else. You've been going backward by $261 every single month for at least 2 years. You close the laptop, you sit in the dark, and something shifts. Not dramatically, not like a movie. Just quietly, the way a door opens in a house that's been shut up too long. This is what nobody tells you when you start this in your 30s. You are not behind, you are not doomed, but you're not getting a clean run at this either. Your 20s are gone. The compounding years that every finance book uses in its examples, those years are behind you, and the math on that is real, worth grieving for exactly one night. Because here's what else is true. You have a job, you have professional skills, you're capable of earning more than you did 5 years ago, and you are old enough now to stop lying to yourself about what the numbers say. If you invest $600 a month at an average 9% annual return in a diversified index fund, you will have $1.1 million by 62. That's arithmetic, not optimism, not a sales pitch, just math running quietly in the background of every decision you make from this point forward. But $600 a month requires something most people skip entirely: the brutal, unsexy work of turning $214 into an emergency fund, eliminating the $261 monthly deficit, and really deciding, that where you are in 5 years matters more than where you eat next Friday. The first milestone isn't $10,000, it's not $5,000, it's the first real $1,000 in a savings account you do not touch. This is harder than it sounds. Because $1,000 in your 30s is also a car repair. It's a medical bill. It's a flight home for something nobody planned. Life at 32 has more surface area than it did at 22. So building that first 1,000 feels like pouring water into a cracked glass. You sell the jacket you bought to feel successful at 28. It goes for $85 on an app. You cancel 3 subscriptions, $94 back. You eat lunch from home for 6 weeks. Maybe $180 saved. You pick up 2 extra Saturday shifts doing something you're slightly overqualified for. You don't tell anyone because you feel a specific kind of quiet embarrassment about it. That's $320. One morning you check your account, $1,043. You sit with that for a second. No celebration, no announcement. Who would you even tell who would understand why this particular number matters? But you feel it. Something small and solid in your chest that wasn't there before. Proof that you can change the direction of something. You close the app, you make coffee, you go to work. Age 33, the first real victory. At 33, you automate $400 a month into a Roth IRA and $200 into a high-yield savings account. The money leaves on the 2nd of every month before you have time to rationalize keeping it. You don't see this money. It disappears before you can spend it. You live on what's left. It's tight. There are weeks where you calculate whether you can afford dinner on Friday. Sometimes the answer is no. You accept it without drama because you understand you're buying something you can't see yet. In March, a friend invites you on a weekend trip. 4 days, flight included, $800 total. A year ago, you would have said yes without thinking and put it on the card. This time, you calculate before you answer. And you say no. Not with resentment, with clarity. That doesn't mean you didn't want to go. It means that for the first time in your adult life, desire and decision are not the same thing. And then your car makes a sound. You recognize it before you fully understand what it means. The low, grinding groan that starts somewhere under the floor on a Wednesday morning in February when it's 19 degrees outside. You pull into a gas station parking lot. You call the mechanic. He says what you already knew he was going to say. The repair is $2,300. You sit in the cold passenger seat of your own car while it's being towed. You do the math in your head. Your savings account has enough. You can pay this without a credit card, without interest, without going backward. 3 years ago, this bill would have destroyed you, not just financially, emotionally. You would have put it on the card and then quietly watched it sit there for 8 months at 22% interest, while every time you saw it, you felt something close to shame. Instead, you transfer the money that same afternoon. You authorize the repair. And in that cold parking lot waiting for a ride back, you feel something very specific. Not happiness, something steadier than happiness. The first time a $2,300 problem doesn't reorganize your week, doesn't ruin your month, doesn't make you feel like you're starting over again. You rebuild the fund over the next 4 months. $200 extra here, an additional shift there. You don't miss a single automatic contribution while you do it. In June, your account is back to where it was in January, as if the car never broke down, as if February never happened. But February did happen, and what you learned in February doesn't appear on any bank statement. At 33, you don't have much to show. No new car, no vacation, nothing to post. The people who know you don't know what you're doing, and if they did, they probably wouldn't understand why it matters yet. But you have something none of them have yet. Proof that you can build something, lose it for a legitimate reason, and rebuild it without stopping. Age 34, the wiring changes. At 34, something happens that nobody talks about when they describe what building wealth actually feels like. It has nothing to do with your account balance, nothing to do with your portfolio, nothing to do with money at all, really. We'll come back to it. First, the market drops 18% over 4 months. You watch real money evaporate in real time. You check the account every day for 2 weeks. Then, you force yourself to stop. You keep contributing. You buy more shares at lower prices without fully believing you should. You do not sell. By December, you're back where you started, as if the drop never happened. But here's what happened in between. The thing nobody talks about. It's a Saturday in October. You need a coffee maker. The one you've had for 6 years finally gave out. You're standing in a store holding 2 boxes. One costs $39. The other costs $119. 5 years ago, you would have grabbed the cheaper one without thinking. End of decision. But you stand there doing a different kind of math. You use this thing every single morning, twice on weekends. That's roughly 400 uses a year. Over 5 years, 2,000 uses. The $119 one has a thermal carafe, no hot plate, 5-year warranty. The difference in cost per use between the two is 4 cents. You put the $39 one back. You buy the $119 one. You carry it to your car. And sitting in that parking lot, you realize something quietly significant. You are no longer making decisions in the next 30 days frame. You are thinking in years. Not as a discipline, not as something you're forcing, as an instinct that has grown in without you noticing it growing. That is the thing that happens at 34. The wiring changes quietly, without announcement. And that shift, invisible, unsexy, completely unmeasurable, is worth more than almost any tactic you'll ever read about in a finance book. Age 35, the layoff scare and the BMW. In March of your 35th year, your company announces a restructuring. The email goes out on a Thursday afternoon. By 3 p.m., the Slack channels are quiet. That kind of quiet at work only means one thing. People are in private messages. People are quietly updating their LinkedIn. You go home and run the numbers. If you lose this job, your emergency fund covers 3 months of expenses. You are not safe, but you are not one paycheck from collapse the way you were at 31. The layoffs come 2 weeks later, 11 people. You are not one of them, but 3 of your colleagues are. Relief that you're not among them. Guilt that you feel relief. And underneath both a cold, clear understanding. You increase your emergency fund target from 3 months to 6. You do not touch your investments to do it. Sometime during your 35th year, your friend Marcus buys a BMW, a Black 5 Series. He financed it over 72 months at 6.9% interest. He doesn't tell you that. He calls it a lease situation and changes the subject. But you've done enough math in your life to know what that car actually costs every month. And you know what Marcus makes. And you know those 2 numbers together tell a story he hasn't let himself read yet. You sit in the passenger seat and you feel the pull of it. The leather, the silence of the ride, the way the door closes with the sound of something engineered to feel expensive. And somewhere inside, you quietly, a voice says, "You've been so disciplined. You've given up so much. Doesn't that entitle you to something?" You notice that voice. You don't argue with it. You let it pass. A $62,000 car at those terms is over $77,000 total paid, for something worth less than half that when the payments stop. You get out of Marcus's car and walk to your 2018 Honda Civic. Not deprivation, not jealousy, something quieter. Clarity, the specific feeling of knowing exactly what you're doing and why. Your portfolio crosses $50,000 on a Thursday morning in April. You check it between meetings, not obsessively, habitually, the way you'd glance at a plant you've been watering to see if it's grown. This is the first number that feels structural, not a milestone you're proud of, a foundation that has been poured and has cured and will now hold weight. At 38, something happens that redefines what you understand wealth to actually mean. Your mother calls on a Sunday evening in October. She sounds careful, the way she sounds when she's been rehearsing what she's about to say. The roof on her house has been leaking for months. She ignored it as long as she could. A contractor came out last week. The repair is $6,000. She's been calling around. She doesn't know what to do. She's sorry to ask. You tell her not to be sorry. You tell her you'll take care of it. You hang up and you sit with the phone in your hand for a moment, and you think about what just happened. Not the $6,000. That part is straightforward. You'll transfer it the following afternoon without touching your investments, without going into debt, without losing sleep. What you sit with is the feeling of what you just said. "I'll take care of it," said without hesitation. 5 years ago, helping her would have meant debt. It would have meant a quiet shame spiral about being a grown adult who couldn't absorb a family emergency without going backward. It would have meant saying yes out loud while feeling the cost of it somewhere deep in your chest for months. This time, you just help. That's not the $50,000 portfolio, not the automated contributions, not the spreadsheet that finally made sense. That is the first moment you understand what building wealth is actually for. It's not a number, it's capacity. It's the option to say yes when it matters. You sleep fine that night. Age 39, the machine runs. At 39, you open your investment app on a Tuesday morning before work. Not from anxiety, from habit, the way you check the weather before heading out. The portfolio generated $9,200 last month on its own, without you doing anything. More than you used to earn in a week at 27. You put the phone away, you finish your coffee, you go to work. That's the strange thing about this moment. There's no fanfare. The machine just runs. There have been down months where the market dropped and the number on the screen was smaller than the month before. The bad months don't move you the way they used to, because you've seen enough cycles to know the next chapter exists, even if it isn't written yet. Something else happens at 39 that's hard to describe without sounding pretentious. The people around you start to shift, not intentionally, just naturally. People who think in decades tend to find each other. There are conversations you have now that would have been in a foreign language to you at 32. But there's something nobody tells you about building wealth quietly for 7 years. It's lonely sometimes. in a very specific way. There are people who drifted out of your life not because of a fight, but because they just stopped fitting. Because the conversation became hard to sustain in both directions. No finance book celebrates that, but it happens. Your portfolio ends the year at $147,000. You don't say it out loud. There's no one to tell who would fully understand. And that, you discover, is enough. Age 40, the morning of. The morning you turn 40, you wake up before your alarm. Not from anxiety. You just wake up. As if something in you knows this day deserves to be seen from the beginning. You make a coffee. You sit at the same table where 8 years ago there was an open spreadsheet and $214 in your account. You open the app. $200,000, a number that 8 years ago would have felt like someone else's. But this morning, it's not the number that stops you. It's what's behind the number. You think about the gas station parking lot at 19 degrees, the $2,300 transfer that went through without a credit card. You think about your mother, the roof, the words, "I'll take care of it," coming out without visible calculation. You think about Marcus's BMW, the cold parking lot, the clarity you found sitting in your Honda Civic without needing anyone to explain why you were right. You think about the months the market fell and you didn't sell. Not because you didn't feel the impulse, because you learned to tell the difference between what you feel and what you should do. You think about the dinners you said no to, the trips you didn't take, the purchases you calculated and put back. And you also think about what you did do, not just what you gave up. You paid a $1,800 transmission on a Wednesday in November without losing sleep. You chose that. You told your mother, "I'll take care of it," without calculating first whether you could. You chose that. You stayed in the market in September 2022 when everything was falling and every headline said it was over. You chose that. You sat in your Honda Civic that day and found clarity instead of envy. You chose that. Wealth didn't feel like a number this morning. It felt like a collection of moments where you chose differently when nobody was watching. You finish your coffee. You leave your phone face down on the table. You go to work. Like any other Tuesday. The future is no longer something that happens to you. It's something you started.